Hello students, welcome to Btech360. We've been covering a series of institutions which in our opinion have been very good in terms of their legacy, their student outcome, the kind of placement that they offer. But a lot of students don't even know about them or miss them out. We're trying to cover about 30 such colleges around the country, and these are very strong state level colleges which have fantastic placements, and in fact some of the placement that these colleges offer are much better than some of the NITs, IIITs and GFTs also, and some of the IITs also. But very few students know about them. We already covered about 6 of them over the last 1 week. We're going to cover another 24 as we move along. So if you want to get them first up very early, please subscribe to Btech360. And of course, I always tell you that if you want me to cover any college of your choice, write to me in the message box and I'll try to cover that for you. And if you want to talk to us personally, there is a WhatsApp number that we've given here. Send us a message and one of our counselors will call you up. But most importantly, this series is about uncovering or discovering those colleges that not many students know about them. But the placements that these colleges offer is much better than many of the NITs, IIITs and GFTs and also some of the IITs. And one of the common thing that I've noticed about these colleges is that they've been in existence for about 50, 60, 70 years, started much earlier, because of which the growth that the college had, the growth that the institution has and the quality of students that they take, because they are always focused on merit and getting the best students into the college, that the best employers go there because the best students go there. The best students go there because the college has been there for a long time. And this seems to be a common thread that I've seen across these institutions. The institution I'm about to cover today is a college that's based in Bangalore. In fact, it was created in 1965, which is 61 years old. And by the way, it was created by a gentleman called Mr. M.R. Dureswamy. And he started this as a school for underprivileged children. The beginning of this particular society was starting of a school for underprivileged children. And then later in 1970 to 2000, it expanded into creating courses for engineering, management and sciences also. In 1988, it created a college which is an engineering college, which is called, and I'll give you the name as I move along. It created an engineering college, and in 2013, it also got the deemed university status. More importantly, the vision of this college is very clear. It says to create professionally superior and ethically strong global workforce. So there are 2 foundations here. One is professionally superior and 2 ethically strong. And of course for global workforce. Right? There are 3 things again as objectives that they are always looking at. One is access to education, 2 is professional readiness, and 3rd is holistic development. A counseling session for all students. So if you want to know more about how you can use your ranking to get into the best college out there, please register for the counseling session. There's a link below this video that you can actually go and register, and you can actually attend a counseling session with us where you will be able to ask your questions and we'll be able to respond to you. So we want to ensure that you get into the best college based on your score, and that is why we are doing this, and we'll keep doing this for the next few days till each of you get into the best college based on your score, merit and everything. I must also thank our university partner, University of Aberdeen, which was established in 1495 in United Kingdom. They set up a campus in Mumbai, and they're offering BSc in computer sciences and also in data sciences. There are 2 undergrad programs that they're offering. So you would also want to look at that. And by the way, when you register for this counseling session, we'll also be giving you a few links of some of the colleges that would be happy to have you admitted with them, and we'll also be possibly giving you some links where the application fee also becomes next to nothing. It might be 0 also for all that you know, because we want to ensure that you benefit from the kind of conversation that we have with you. Now about this particular thing, I also talked of the Online Counseling Connect 2026. We are doing it for KCET separately. You just need to register, and we'll be happy to have a conversation where you can join a webinar on that particular day where you can ask our questions, and we'll be happy to answer that for you, right? The college I'm about to talk about is People's Education Society University, which is called PES University, which is based in Bangalore. One of the best colleges that you will have in the country. As I said, it was started as a college in 1988, but the foundation, the trust itself was created in 1965, 61 years old, right? And we'll talk about why it is so good, how its placements are, how it compares with NITs and IIITs and those kind of things, and why you should keep it as a part of your option set. Remember, the institution that we're talking about, all the 30, have intake from all India. It's not just from a state or anything like that. Though they might actually prefer half the seats are given to the state students only, but more than half the students come from outside the state, and they might take multiple entry parameters. Some might take JEE, some might take some other examination, but they do have an entry for students beyond the state also. They don't participate through JOSA counseling, which means they're not a part of the JOSA for you to actually say this is a college I want to get into, but they do accept a JEE score also many a times. So this PES University, I'll take you through the data about this PES University, why you must keep it as a part of the consideration set, and more importantly, how can you be a part of it, what you should do to get into it, and why you must get into it. Everything we'll talk about it. The institution itself, as I said, the establishment for the college is 1972. It's a private deemed university. By the way, 1965 the school started, and 1988 is when they also started a institution of technology, which is engineering college. And in 2008 or somewhere, it became a university by itself, right? The campus is 30 acres. The campus is so good. By the way, it's in Bangalore. The campus is so good that Azim Premji University, when it started, it was first till their formal campus was inaugurated. It was operating from the PES University campus. So the credibility of the founders and the credibility of the institution is such that one of the largest tech entrepreneurs in the country, which is Mr. Azim Premji, when he started his own university, the initial years of operation was from PES University. And the number of students in UG is about 7,334, of which 62% are boys and 38% are girls. Again, if you look at it, the gender diversity is very, very good here. And where can you come in? About 38.4% of the students come from outside the state of Karnataka. So very clearly, about 40% of the students are coming from outside the state of Karnataka, and which is where you can get into the whole thing. Of course, they should have a pathway for you to come in, which is where that kind of number, 38.4% students come in. And about 58% of course from India, and about 3% students come from outside India also. So the institution is so aspirational that people from outside of India also want to come and study at PES University. That's the kind of legacy and the strength of the university, the aspiration level of the university, that students from outside India also want to come and study at this university. And the faculty is about 500, which means we're dealing with a 497, which means we're dealing with a 1:15 kind of a student faculty ratio, which is the least mandated in that sense. Now, about the placements, of course, you need to understand why we are recommending this institution. Look at the placements here. And this, by the way, is data of NIRF. Now, what is NIRF? NIRF is National Institutional Ranking Framework, which is a Government of India thing. The Government of India, through Ministry of Education, ranks colleges and universities for multiple disciplines. And one of the ranking it does is for engineering discipline also. Now, for this, all colleges submit data. That data is submitted on an affidavit, which means it is authenticated, and you obviously cannot lie on the thing. I'm not saying that not everyone lies. By the way, some of the private universities I know lie, and even public institutions, including IITs and NITs, also are lying in the data. But it's much more authentic because it is signed and sealed by the registrar or the chancellor of the university. And it is submitted to a regulatory body, which is the Government of India, Ministry of Education. Because of that, that data is much more authentic than whatever other data that you have in the marketing brochures. When you look at that data, in all, about 1,560 students were the intake in graduated class of 23-24, which means that they would have got into the college in 1920 kind of a thing. And including lateral, it is 1,669 students. Graduating is 1,567. Right, which means we're dealing with about 96 to 97% graduation class. Right. Of this 1,567, about 239 students wanted to move on for higher studies, which means after graduation they wanted to pursue post-graduation also and move for higher studies. And 1,320 students were placed. So the 1,567 minus 239 is what is to be left to be placed, of which 1,323 were placed. Right, which is 99.6% placement. If you now notice this very carefully, across the board they actually had 98-99% kind of a placement. Now that's the strength of the college, that they're able to place almost every student out there. And what is the median salary here? 12.47 lakh rupees. The median salary is 12.47 lakh rupees, which is very, very high. Many of the NITs and IIITs don't have that kind of a median salary. Many of the bottom half of the IITs also do not have that kind of a salary possibly. Right? But PES University, at that scale, which is about 1,323 students placed, to have a median salary of 12.47 lakh rupees also means that at the top half, they'll be dealing with about 25-30 lakh rupees kind of a median salary. When you deal with it in the top 100 to 200 or top 20% if you take it, you will easily be about 20 lakh plus kind of a median salary. Or the average salary would be about 25 lakh rupees kind of a thing. which is what we are talking about. We are talking of a university which places about 1,300 of its students at a median salary of 12.5 lakh rupees. Which means if you take the top 500, it will be about 17-18 lakh rupees. If you take the top 200, it will be about 20-25 lakh rupees also. And the average salary would be very, very high as you move up the ladder. Right? So that is the kind of university that we're recommending. And by the way, this median salary is achieved despite the fact that they place about 1,300 plus students. And more importantly, almost every student that is joining the university is getting placed at a very good company, because that's a median salary we talk. Because the placement is 99.6%. Right? So that is the reason why we are recommending this particular university. Now, over the 25 data, when we saw it on their website, there are 350 plus companies that came for placement. Highest salary was 68 lakh rupees. The total offers was 1,500. And of course, there are also internships. Now, this is very important for every student. If the internship offers, there are placement offers, because most of the internship offers ultimately convert to a pre-placement offer and a placement also. So when you actually are able to place your students as interns, it means the institutions, the companies value you, that they don't mind spending time to train your students in the internship period. If you are unable to convert the internship to a placement, most companies these days don't spend time or spare time or waste their time to give an internship certificate. They want to be sure that the amount of investment that they're making in terms of time and effort to train an intern would ultimately fructify in them actually joining their own company. So they're actually placing about 1,250 plus internships and about 1,500 plus placement offers, which is very, very good. Now, how do you get in? What is the mode of examination, right? You actually have, the simple thing is, out of 100% of our Btech seats, 40% is allocated to KCET, which means students from Karnataka who take the Karnataka Common Engineering Test get into PES, which is 40% of the students. So the total seats that they have, 40% are for the students who are going through the pathway of KCET. Now, for these students, the fee is very regulated because the government of Karnataka regulates this fees. This is very, very moderate. Then admission through the Karnataka government, KCET count. 45% is allocated for PES through JEE Main, PESU KCET quota, right? So about JEE Main is 45% quota, right? And then you also have 15% is allocated for higher fee category, which is management quota. So we're dealing with 40% for KCET, right? 45% through JEE and 15% through management quota. That's how these numbers are, right? And if you register by selecting only JEE Mains above, we will consider the best score of all your JEE 26 JEE examination, which is April and Jan. And whatever is the best score is what they'll consider. If you register by selecting only KCET above, we'll consider your 2026 KCET score only while generating the merit list. If you register by selecting both, this is important for you. So if you're a Karnataka student who's taking the KCET examination and also JEE Main examination, JEE Mains and KCET, you will be eligible to compete through both the options. So for students in Karnataka, I'll advise this, that register, if you're writing JEE, use the JEE also and through the KCET also. And one of them might actually get you help, because there's a possibility that you actually have one bad day, but you actually have a better chance of getting in because both your scores are being used, and the best of the two, you will be competing in both the channels, and one of them will get you, which is the 40% channel for KCET and 45% channel for the JEE examination. This is meant only for the students of Karnataka, by the way. Otherwise, if you're a non-Karnataka student, you are competing for the 45% and you're also competing for the management quota, right? Now, this is what we said. 40% through Karnataka government KCET counseling, 45% through JEE Main score, PESU internal quota, and 15% through direct admission, management quota, NRI sponsored. So that is the numbers that we're dealing with. And by the way, this fee is higher category. We don't know, the fee is not as transparent as it can be. But for these two, the fee is very transparent. Now, KCET examination, last year, about 3.3 lakh students registered for the examination, 3.11 lakh students appeared for the examination for 242 colleges that actually accept the KCET score. So remember, we are now dealing with 3,11,000. So whenever I'm talking about the KCET rank highest closing cutoff in the open category, remember how many students took the examination? 3.12 lakh students took the examination, right? What are the total seats that PES University has for engineering? In all, they have 2,100 seats, of which CET quota seats is 840. JEE Main CET seats is 918, and management quota NRA and sponsored is 306. There is also lateral entry about 126, and lateral entries through CET is 102. So in all, they have 2,100 seats all put together. So let's talk about how you can get in and what kind of scores you need. By the way, branch wise, if you look at it, they actually have for CS 720 seats. For CS with AA and ML is 720 seats. Electronics and communication is 480. Mechanical is 60. Electrical is triple E is 60. And biotechnology is 60. So the core is very less here if you notice. One mechanical is there and biotechnology is there and electrical if you call it core, right? But otherwise it's largely the CS and IT. And because it's based in Bangalore, this always works because in Bangalore, a lot of it's called the software capital of India. A lot of startups are housed there. A lot of large, software companies are housed there. And you'll always find a job here for the kind of learning that you do or for the kind of, skilling and learning that you get into through these degrees, right? But the total seats is 2,100 distributed this way. Now, let us talk of how much, branch-wise, what's the distribution of seats across these quotas that we talked of. When we look at that, for example, in CSE, you have 720 seats, of which 288 are through the KCET quota, 324 are through the JEE main quota, higher fee category management quota is 108, lateral entry is 43, and lateral entry CET is 29 seats. And that way for CSE AML, it's the same thing, because there's total seats are 720, so the same numbers follow. And then for EC, it is 480 again. So the 40%, 45%, and 15% quota, plus the lateral entry is what you're adding up to deal with this entire 2,100 seats. And you can actually take a screenshot of this whole thing of seat matrix that we have for each of these branches, right, at each of the quota level that you're talking about. Now, what is the merit list? I earlier told you that about 3.12 lakh students appeared for the KCET examination, right? We all know that 3.12 lakh students have appeared for the KCET examination in 2025. Last year, when we looked at data for Btech CSE, right, the highest closing rank in the open category, which is general category, is 1,654. At 3.12 lakh, if you look at it, this is 99.5 percentile. Because 3.2 lakh students appeared for the examination. 3.12 lakh students appeared for the examination. 1,654 is close to 99.5%. In fact, slightly 99.4, 99.45, somewhere in between. And for BTech Computer Science and Engineering and Artificial Intelligence, at 2694, we're dealing with again 99.2 percentile. The reason why I'm showing this to you is, you must remember that for you to get into PES University, you need to be right up there in terms of your quality, in terms of your merit, in terms of your score. And that also benefits those people because the college has the best students, the most high quality students who are aspiring for a career path. And because of that, you're actually into safe hands because the quality of students is very, very good. Right, for ECE it is 3,765, which is about 98.6 percentile, and so on and so forth. So what we are essentially talking about here is this 95 percentile, of course, for mechanical, right? What we're talking of is a college which is so aspirational that the best students also apply to that and get into that through the KCET quota, which is 40% seats. Now, based on this, if you look at this, the fee structure that you have. For JEE main quota, the fee is 5.5 lakh rupees per annum. For JEE main quota fee is 5 lakh rupees per annum. And for KCET, it's slightly different. I'll come to you at some point in time. And this, by the way, JEE main quota per annum for other, quota also. Right. The fee, by the way, for CS, ECE and all is different, and for the other branches is slightly different. But essentially, we're dealing with about 4.5 lakh to 5.5 lakh rupees per annum kind of a fee structure is what you have for per annum, by the way, at PES University. This is the fee structure we're talking about between 4.5 lakh and 5 lakh rupees. I've already explained to you. This branch wise, what we're showing is this kind of fee structure. 5.5 lakh rupees for CSE, AI and ML. For ECE, it is 5 lakh. For mechanical, it's 4.5 lakh. For triple E, it is 4.5 lakh. And for biotechnology, it's 4.5 lakh per annum. That's the fee that you're dealing with through the JEE quota, right? Now, you also have scholarship. Professor CNR scholarship for merit certificate. So you also have scholarships. Please keep looking at the scholarships that they offer so that you can also see if you're eligible to get into that school college based on that. Now, what is the fee? Earlier I talked about KCET quota. What I earlier talked about is only JEE main fee, which is 4.5 to 5.5 lakh, which is for the all India seats. But through the KCET quota, the fee is 1 lakh rupees only. So if you're a student of Karnataka, topping the KCET ranks at 99 percentile and above, you can get into it, and the fee is 1 lakh rupees, which is very, very moderate. Which is what good states do. The good states will ensure that the fee is so regulated that even the best students can get into the college at a very moderate fee, and to that extent it's affordable, and the social equity of the country is also maintained. And the best students do get a chance of getting into the best college, even though the fee is higher for others, they can get in because the fee is regulated for them, which is what happens here. 40% of the students actually pay this 1 lakh fee through the KCET quota. And if you're coming from JEE quota, 45% of the seats are there. By the way, management quota would be much, much higher. Much, much higher. But this is the quota that we're talking about. Right. Now, these are the scholarships that they have. Professor MRD scholarships, 5% students based on CGPA, merit certificate plus 50% tuition fee refund. For CNRO, it is 40% tuition fee refund. Distinction awards, merit certificate, and SGPA 7.75. And financial support for Devon corporate scholarships, teaching assistantships, stipend compensation. So they have multiple things. Research assistant for master's programs, by the way. It's not for undergrad students. Right. Now, what are the companies that come for placement here? Again, it's based in Bangalore, so you'll actually have the best of the software companies coming in. Amazon recruits from here, ClearTrip recruits from here, Apple, Google, HP, KPMG, PayPal, Morgan Stanley, Mercedes-Benz, Flipkart, Cisco, Deloitte, eBay, EY, IBM, Intel, Intuit, JP Morgan Chase, LinkedIn, Mahindra, Siemens, SAP, PwC, Oracle, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Tesco, Visa. They're just indicator companies. Remember, I told you earlier about 150 companies came for placements. Now, just look at the kind of companies. Now, you look at it in terms of the trillion-dollar companies that you have Apple recruiting from here. You have Google recruiting from here. You have Microsoft recruiting from here. You have NVIDIA recruiting from here. These are companies which are trillion-dollar companies around the world. And these companies come here and recruit from here. These are called, if you remember, they are called the MANG companies, which is Meta, Apple, Amazon, NVIDIA and all. By the way, Amazon also is recruiting some from here. Amazon is here. So you have every company which is right up there recruiting from, PES University, and which is what benefits in terms of increasing the higher salary, the average salary, the median salary, all these things go up because these kind of companies normally have come up with very good offers for the right candidates. Now, we also obviously looked at LinkedIn to understand and corroborate the information that PES University has on its own platform in terms of the companies that are coming for placement. So what we did was, we went to LinkedIn and researched of how many students claimed that they were studied at PES University and where are they now. We found about 60,249 students who claimed that they studied at PES University and did Btech from there. Of that, about 493 are right now working in Deloitte. In IBM, 463 are working right now. In EY, 352 are working. And in Amazon, 345 working. In fact, at some point in time, about 1,094 students worked at Deloitte who studied at PES University, 1,171 studied at IBM, 874 studied at EY, and 1,128 are working at Amazon. But they all studied at PES University, which means these companies invariably go there for placement because of which such high numbers of students are right now working there. Moving ahead, when we looked at further the MANG companies, which is the trillion-dollar companies in the world, and most of them go there for placement, remember? Meta, 73 students are working in Meta, which is the WhatsApp, the Instagram, and the Facebook kind of a company. Apple, 199 students of PES University are right now working in Apple because Apple goes there for recruitment. 345 students are working in Amazon because Amazon goes there for recruitment. 73 work at NVIDIA because NVIDIA goes there for recruitment. And Google, 168 are working because Google goes there for placements. And over the period, 160 students of PES worked at Meta at some point in time, 338 worked at Apple at some point in time, 1,128 worked at Amazon at some point in time, 123 worked in NVIDIA, and 531 worked at Google. Now, these are strong numbers. This is actually the report card of what PES University stands for, that so many hundreds of students are working in the best companies out there, international global companies, and are succeeding in their careers because they were studied at PES University and because these companies actually go to PES University for placement purposes. So if you want to work in these companies, PES University is the right pathway. But through JEE, you know the fees, you must look at that very closely, but that's the pathway that you should be looking for. Now, we also looked at LinkedIn to understand where the students are domiciled. Students who studied at PES University, where are they domiciled, where are they working, which country or which state are they working in. So when we saw that data, 85% students work in India, which means 15% students work around the world. But world over, about 15% students work, of which 8%, which is 4,980 students of PES University, are right now in USA working in one of the companies in USA. Close to 5,000 students. Just imagine the kind of number that you're dealing with. Which means that if you go to USA, you will find 5,000 students who worked at PES University working there in the large companies out there. About 500 students work in Canada. About 371 students work in UAE. So essentially, 15% of the students who studied at PES University are all over the world, growing up the ladder, growing up the career, domiciled somewhere else, working in an international company, and really succeeding in their career path. And besides that, about 77% work in Karnataka, of course, because all those companies that we talked about are based out of Karnataka because it's the software capital of the country. The kind of courses that they offer also corroborates with what we're talking about. So essentially, the legacy of the institution is such that you will actually find yourself in succeeding in your career because the best companies, the best students join the place. It's a great university, of course, but the best students join the place because of which the best companies go there. And because the best companies go there, you actually have a good salary and a fantastic career path and a career graph which makes you move out of India also and occupy very, very corner offices in the biggest companies in the world. That is what is PES University for you. Now, if you want me to, this is important, see, what we're trying to do is to keep your options open, expand your options. We're covering about 30 colleges like that, public and private. But these are not through JOSA counseling. They're not IITs, NITs, IITs, which is what coaching institutions will only tell you. They will not tell you anything beyond that. Our job is to tell you beyond that. What are your options beyond the IITs, NITs and all, or colleges which are beyond the JOSA counseling, which is what we are exploring here. And we've done a series already. If you've not seen the earlier videos of us, please do that because we're slowly but steadily unraveling the colleges that are out there. About 30 of them is what we'll discover for you and open it up for you. Some of them you may know, but some of them you may not know. Our objective is simple, that how do we ensure that you get into the best college and have a great career ahead. For that purpose is why we are doing this exercise. And please, please do subscribe to Btech360. And please, please, if you want me to cover any other college, write to me in the message box. If you want to talk to me, just message me on the message box and one of our counselors will call you. Thank you so much. Namaste.